having a goal in mind, you don't have to believe it or not, but to literally just give everything you possibly have towards it and have little to no regrets. And then you're mindful in your practices to go try to implement those things. Go try it, go practice. Those are the moments that you can fail and be totally fine with it because you're just trying to get better.
You've embodied this energy of the inspired athlete. What does that mean to you? Hello, my name is Aaron Wexler, and welcome to another episode of Within the Game. Let's go. Within the Game is all about sharing inspiration. That's the whole idea of this show. And thank you to the listeners and fans of the show. If you'd like to support the show, a great way to do that would be to grab a copy of my book called The Inspired Athlete, which I really do think could help everyone out there. And if you could give the channel a like and subscribe, all those things do really help. Also, I want to make this show a little bit more interactive, so leave a question or a comment if you're watching on YouTube. And also, you can reach out to me directly on IG at Within the Game Podcast. Also, please follow and support my guests. And today's guest is the one and only Miles Evans. Miles, thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Let's go, man. Miles is an AVP champion, NORCECA champion, and the 2019 Zenayara Open champion with yours truly. A UCSB grad, Miles is also a former WestCoast BEACH coach who has created lasting positive impact and inspiration with our players, and most recently qualified for the 2024 Paris Olympic Games for beach volleyball with partner Chase Budinger, which is literally days away. His Instagram is at MilesEvansVB, website milesevansvb.com. And I'm just inspired by you, and I can't thank you enough for making time right before the Olympics, man.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to give back. I'm super excited to go to the Olympics for sure. I missed what in too long.
Let's go, man. You're always welcome back anytime you can. But, you know, this show, like I told you before, is all about inspiration, right? Sharing inspiration. Let's start with that, man. Like this idea, this concept of inspired living, you know, what does that mean to you?
Inspired living, you know, honestly, just day to day, trying to stay as motivated as you can to do what you love, you know, be passionate about what you love. And for me, I found volleyball to be my passion since pretty much I started playing. And I want to spread that love to other people that might want to, take that on. And yeah, man, just show how hard work kind of can culminate at the end of the day.
Let's go. You know, for as long as I've known you, which is a couple years now, you've embodied this energy of the inspired athlete. This is something that I've tried to bring forth, you know, in my endeavors. What does that mean to you, this concept of the inspired athlete?
You know, like being driven, having a goal in mind. You don't have to believe it or not, but to literally just give everything you possibly have towards it and have little to no regrets.
Dang, mic drop. I love that, Miles. You know, we're going to talk a lot about the Olympics, but before we get into that, you know, I have a memory that I want to share, which is this right here, the Zenayara Open. I just wanted to share a quick story, and then I want to get your memory of this memory that we're about to talk about. 2019, the Zenayara Open. I was actually the last one to get picked. It was like a pro-am style, and I remember you're like looking at me. You're like, let's get that guy, you know. And that was a cool moment. And then we ended up, you know, winning that tournament. But during that time, I remember kind of guiding you, and then you were guiding me, and it was just like this cool exploration of staying present, right? Because there was a lot of distractions and you could think about other things. But could you just talk a little bit about that memory? We ended up playing Taylor Crabb, actually. Shout out Taylor, and some other people there. But just talk about that memory, what that meant to you.
Yeah, man. You know, for me, I was kind of in the state of mind of like not being super focused. Like you said, there's a ton of distractions. And I deeply remember you being like, you wanted it. You're like, yo, like this would be so awesome. You know, like, let's do this, you know, and we're a team. And you really brought me up and you got me to like care, like with you just brought me back. So it was super nice to have you, just be so focused and so like stoked to like go for the gold, and in my mind, oh man, Taylor Crabb, I've never really beaten him, and he was a big obstacle, but it was really nice to have a teammate like full on, like be like, yo, like, let's do this together. Let's freaking win this thing and let's have a great time doing it,
Yeah, for sure, man. That's one of my most fondest memories in beach volleyball. I want to turn back to you and your athletic journey leading up to the Olympics, leading up to this moment right now. You're sitting here about to go into the Olympics representing the United States of America, man. So cool. Talk a little bit about the journey getting here. Take that however you want. Just talk about your journey a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to go back to kind of like the beginning of the Olympic run, Chase and I got together in a coffee meeting, and, we're both just like, yo, do you want to go on an Olympic run? Like, that sounds awesome. Like what's that going to look like? What's that going to take? And both of us had been playing on the world tour for a little bit of time and not necessarily been like anywhere near where we wanted to go. So we had to create a system and put together a team to make this happen. And man, that Olympic journey was probably the most stressful thing I've ever been a part of. There's so many ups and downs, for 80% of it, 70% of it, I didn't truly believe that we were even going to get there. When we first started, there was a poll on Sandcast and there was like 6 teams that were potentials, and we got a 0% vote, And so for us to come through and be the underdogs, it's such an awesome story. And man, like, the belief wasn't there, but it started to grow throughout that process, and just that hard work, putting together with Chase, working out, practicing 5 days a week, having a coach that's with us the whole time has been such a beautiful, like experience. And I hadn't had that before. And I would say this year is when I used a sports psychologist for the first time in my life. And I think that has helped me grow immensely. So, a lot has happened in these last year and a half, and stoked to be on the kind of the winning end, if you will.
Yeah, man, it's so cool. Okay, I want to talk about that sports psychologist. Actually, let's get into that right now. Is there anything specific you can share that sports psychologist has helped you through that maybe could help someone else that might be listening to this?
Totally, man. So when I play, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm very emotional, and for me, I tend to get really frustrated when things aren't going my way, and when I'm just making mistakes or just not playing my best. And I internalize it, and I'm thinking in my head negative thoughts and not circling back to what needs to happen. So it's okay to have those thoughts. Adversity is guaranteed. Bad things are guaranteed, but it's how you respond to your own thoughts. So before, I was kind of like head down, walking in the sand, yelling at myself. But now I'm getting to the point where I'm external. I'm looking around. I'm kind of finding things in the crowd, whatever it is, to get my chest back up and to be like, not so internal. And then the other part is, I forgive myself. It's like, all right, one moment, it happens. I got the next play for sure. And you have to tell yourself and believe it. You can't just say it and be like, oh, I got the next one. You got to literally be like, yo, I got the next one. Go up to your partner, give him a high five, confirm that. Like, dude, I got the next one, like right here, right now. Let's go, And I think that has given me a big leeway to be a little bit more free and play a little bit more loose than being so internal and so frustrated when things aren't going my way.
Man. Okay, so now you're talking a little bit about champion mindset, which I had a section on. So let's combine the two. You mentioned forgive yourself. Could you like lean into that a little bit more and try to make that relatable? Meaning, like, when I hear that, the first thing I think of is like, okay, made an error, right? Error is a big part of this game, right? There's lots of errors. You make an error, are you just immediately forgiving yourself in that moment? Is that what you mean by that?
Totally. Before I would be like, just not stoked, cussing at myself, whatever it is, and then internalizing those negative actions. You'd be like, oh man, just thinking about those too much, giving too much light to that, and then forgiving myself now to being like, you know what, that was last play. We have a whole new play ahead. And I would say in the past, I would hold on to these last plays for so long, it would last 2 to 3 points of me still thinking about it. And then now I've given myself that leeway to forgive myself and be like, let's move on. Like, I got that next one. Let's go. And like high five my partner and like, we're moving forward.
You have a system for that? Like, do you take a deep breath? Do you clap? Like, just like put yourself in that situation of an error. Let's say you just shanked the ball. Is there a system that you deal with that?
Yeah, I take a deep breath for sure. Sometimes I like to go back to the back line, lift it up, take a deep breath, look, externalize, look into the crowd, look into the set, like, just perceive what's going on around you. Come back, high five your partner. I got the next one, and then we're moving forward.
Yeah, it seems like when I talk to a lot of champions, like that forward movement is just the constant driving factor, right? Like, right. How much time in stoppage time between whistles? How much time do you look back on the last play? How much of that stoppage time do you use for the reflection?
Yeah, so we have about 12 seconds in between each play, about usually, and I definitely take about 8 to 10 seconds to try to like reset and get my mind right. And then I'm starting to think proactively about what I need to do next. So I high five Chase. I'm like, I got the next one. And then I'm like, all right, they're probably serving me here. I'm very analytical. I'm thinking about what they're going to do to me next. And then I'm thinking about how I'm going to get that ball, essentially pass that ball to where it needs to be. And then maybe even so forward thinking about what play I'm about to run next.
Yeah. No, this is awesome, Miles. And again, I'm so grateful that you're taking this time right before the Olympics. Talk about champion mindset. How are you embodying that?
I'm trying to just work every day and put 100% effort into the gym, into recovery, 100% into practice. We all have moments where, we're super tired in practice, and I'm trying to accept every challenge that there is presented towards me, and it's hard. I'm finding myself having difficulty at times accepting some of the challenges. I'm just so tired, whatever it is. And I'm trying to use that mental strength and kind of like how I've been working with a sports psychologist to accept these challenges and be like, I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to have so much confidence in practice that I'm going to translate that to the game in the Olympics.
Let's go, man. You're ready to grow. I mean, that just gave me shivers. I mean, like that's what it's all about, right? Regardless of the result, like it's about that growth. That's my take on it anyway. That's the whole inspired athlete, right? It's just constant growth.
Percent better. Hey.
That's it, man. 1% better every day, right? So let's carry this over into EQ, emotional intelligence. I'm really interested in this. I've been interested in this more and more because you're living with yourself, right? Like, yes, we have relationships, and yes, we have all these experiences, but at the end of the day, it's about you and your relationship with yourself. So I want to ask you about this EQ. Like, how do you manage emotional intelligence? How do you create better emotional intelligence?
Try to surround yourself with people that are like-minded, that are trying to grow as well. Set goals for yourself, try to have tiers, like one tier could be, I really want to accept the challenge for today. And then the next tier is like, I'm going to go into the gym and I'm going to push myself, in the gym. And then the next tier is I'm going to get to the recovery and I'm going to do all the things I need to do. So for me, that gives me all the confidence in the world because I know that I'm checking off each tier each day and progressing in that growth mindset of knowing that like I put the work in so that when I go compete, I've got the confidence. And I think in the past, I didn't do those things. I wasn't so consistent with kind of checking off each box that I didn't have as much confidence going into the tournaments. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me moving forward is trying to make sure that I'm doing as much as I can off the court to make sure that I'm confident when I am on the court.
Yeah, dude, I'm so glad you brought up confidence. Can you lean into that a little more? Because confidence is like, it's kind of everything almost, right? It's like, you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your journey. You got to believe, right? How do you do that? Talk about some like steps on how you do that.
Well, I would say for myself personally, I've struggled with confidence my whole life, and especially on the volleyball court. And I would say one of the things that have helped me the most is just having a routine and being disciplined with that routine. And sure, there's going to be outside factors in life that might distract you a little bit or take you away from like being so consistent with that. But trying to like your best to trying to follow that routine and listen to yourself and have integrity and not create goals that are so far-fetched that you can't attain them, that, you know, you are basically moving towards something each day, you know? Yeah, I kind of lost myself there, but
No, dude, you what's so cool right now, Miles, is you are sounding like the inspired athlete version of yourself, man. It's so cool for me to see, bro, and listen to you. I'm so stoked on where you're at. I mean, you're exuding confidence. But it's what's cool about it though, I want to acknowledge, is that it's joyful. It's not like stressful. It's like, yo, here I am. This is what I did, and this is where I'm going, you know?
yeah. So going back to the confidence thing is more or less just putting the time in on the court and off the court, knowing that you did everything you could, at least mostly, you know, we're never going to be perfect, is what gave me the confidence. And practicing a little bit more than I ever have in the past has given me a little bit more consistency, and being really mindful in practice to try to work on things that you're going to implement in the game is super important. For me, the serve this year has been the biggest thing. You know, I've always struggled jump serving in huge moments with a ton of crowd, you know, a ton of people in the stadium. And now I'm going back there every time to serve, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to hit the ball for it to go there, you know, and that's all I'm trying to focus on. And that's given me the confidence to kind of repeat that same motion over and over again. Meanwhile, all these other thoughts would come into my head, like in those moments, but now I'm trying to just stay focused on some of these specific movements to be able to get that ball there. And in practice, I'm being very mindful of those things so that when I come to the game, I'm very confident in being able to hit those spots, just because I've been so mindful in practice, and then I'm translating into the game.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for being a fan of the show. I really appreciate your support. And if you'd like to further support the podcast, please grab a copy of my book, The Inspired Athlete. The Inspired Athlete is all about my personal growth journey, my athletic journey, my spiritual journey, all combined into one. And really the idea is that the energy of the inspired athlete is within us all, and it's up to us to evoke that. And whether you consider yourself an athlete or a competitor or not, it's my belief that the energy of the inspired athlete is within us. Even if you just decide to take a deep breath and just move your body, that's the inspired athlete. So it would mean a lot if you could help support the book project as well as the podcast by grabbing a copy. Links to the Amazon paperback version as well as the Audible audiobook version are listed below in the description. Thank you very much for your support. Stay inspired, y'all.
Dude, you're locked in right now, bro. It's awesome. Can you give us a little glimpse of your own self-talk in that moment? Talk about going back to the service line, that, you know, you got the crowd there, you know, like, what's the self-talk like?
You know, there'll be moments of like doubt will come in, like, oh man, should I jump serve right now? You know, like, what if I miss? This is a big moment, whatever. And then, you know, actually Chase has given me some confidence to go, hey, green light, dude. If you miss, you miss, like, whatever, don't worry about it. And that's definitely given me a little bit of leeway to be a little bit more free. But I'll go back there and be like, should I do this? All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to jump serve. How I'm going to do it? I'm going to jump serve from this spot. I'm going to toss it right here, and I'm going to hit it with a little thumb up for it to go middle, you know? And I'm just like very mindful of how I'm going to do it. And then it all just happens in the moment quickly. I get the ace. Chase looks at me like, let's go. I'm like, let's go. Thank you for giving me the confidence to go do that. And then, you know, we're moving forward.
I just love how specific that is. And that picture that you just painted, are you painting that picture as you're talking to yourself, like visualizing that?
I would like to say I am, but sometimes I want to be a little bit free and to just go focus on how I'm going to make that movement. And then sometimes it just unfolds the way that I'd hoped, but I didn't necessarily picture it all in that one moment just because it's so quickly. But there are other moments that I'll have more time, and then I'll visualize how I'm going to hit that ball, and then it'll go exactly kind of visualized how I'm going to like do that. So there are moments I don't have enough time to visualize the whole picture, and then there are some moments I'm able to kind of visualize it a little bit more.
Yeah, that's great, man. Let's come right back to visualization, but I want to just make sure I get this because I wanted to go back to EQ for a second. There's a concept called true self and ego, and how you balance both and how you use both. Could you lean into that a little bit? Like, do you know what I mean by true self and ego?
Not necessarily, like I would say my ego trying to be as low as possible, trying not to let that get too much involved.
Well, but as an athlete, we need our ego, right? Our ego is there to like, oh, let's go win, right? Like, or like maybe sometimes the ego in the negative way might be like, look at me, look how hard I just hit the ball. Like, that's maybe a little too much ego, but maybe the true self might be like, man, like I'm living my dream. I'm doing my thing. Here I am. Let's go. Right. So like balancing those two things.
For sure. I would say sometimes I get to the point where I'm so joyful and happy to be where I'm at that I lose my competitive edge a little bit.
Right.
But I would say that's the ego part of being like aggressive. And so the balance for me has been tough to be really stoked in the moment and be free and loose, but also super aggressive and be like, this team is not going to be able to handle what I'm going to bring next. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still figuring out that balance for sure. But I would say when I'm playing my absolute best is when my ego is maybe a little bit more than that joyful state of being happy to be there. And I'm like, all right, I'm throwing punches here. I'm ready to go. And so there has to be enjoyment. You have to be like stoked during the moment, but it's almost like the ego brings you back to that laser focus and being aggressive.
Yeah. No, this is good. That's kind of almost like being a killer, right? You got to tap into that. And, especially in this tournament you're going into, it's really, this tournament, this Olympics is really not about the best team. It's about who peaks at the right time in the best way. Right. And so, yeah, that's really important to like find that. And, how do you tune out the noise, Miles? There's so much coming at you. So many people want interviews. Everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon, like support you for sure. But like, how do you tune all that out and stay focused on your job?
It's a great question. There's a time and a place, like I allow myself from 8:30 to 12:30 to be like laser focused with volleyball. And then there's a time for after practice to kind of bring in the noise a little bit. And then there's a time to kind of push it back out afterwards for recovery and whatnot. But, you can allow certain moments to enjoy that part. And I do enjoy attention and the support for sure. And so for me, it's kind of just balancing it a little bit, having priorities with what you're trying to accomplish, but also allowing a little bit of time to have that time as well.
Yeah, man, you're doing a great job of it, man. I've never been an Olympian, but I can only imagine, the amount of attention and opportunities coming your way. So I acknowledge you, man. I want to talk a little bit I want to go back to that visualization, and I'm really curious. When you were a kid, did you ever think about being an Olympian? Did you ever think that was possible? Was that part of your goals? Did you visualize that? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I would say when I was a kid, definitely not even close of thing. I didn't even play volleyball till I was 15. So I didn't think about the Olympics until maybe a couple of years after I started playing.
Wow.
I told my best friends from high school, I was like, look, I knew it right away that I wanted to be a professional volleyball player, and it's cool to hear their stories of them telling me like that was something I told them. I forgot about it, but it was always a dream of mine to be a professional volleyball player, but to be an Olympian, I watched Todd Rogers and Phil train in East Beach right in front of me. They were running with weights behind their backs. They were training right in front of me while I was coaching. And that was super, super motivating to me to see the highest level do their thing, how dedicated they were every day. I would see them every single day. And that kind of instilled the Olympic dream in me, and then I watched them religiously while they were playing. They won the gold medal. I'm like, man, these guys, they're from Santa Barbara, Todd Rogers representing. I'm like, man, that'd be so awesome if I could do that, And so it kind of instilled that Olympic dream in me. And, I didn't believe that I could get here, not even up until like a couple 6 months ago, So just having that deep, that goal out there, but like it being more attainable is that hard work that you're putting more and more towards every day. And I would say once it started to become a little bit more in reach, then I started to buy into giving everything I got to this sport, So it was a fun, crazy journey, but the belief was always the hardest thing for me, at the end of the day.
Okay, let's talk about that, because that goes back to confidence. So when you don't, when let's say your belief is wavering, let's say it's lacking, let's say you're like, you don't believe, how do you snap out of that?
Dude, your partner can definitely help you. Chase has definitely brought me back a couple moments. I used to put like other teams on a pedestal and, hype them up so much that I would be kind of stunned going into playing some of these teams. And knowing that you put the work in and knowing that you've been doing this for long enough should give you enough confidence to be able to go just play your game. Don't worry about who's on the other side of the net. Realistically, it's you versus yourself most of the time, And so if you can overcome the obstacle of being able to kind of handle your own thoughts, and that's kind of how I've been working this year with the sports psychologist, is you're like, it's kind of just me versus me, Obviously I'm playing against a really good team on the other side of the net, but I've been doing this for so long that like, let's go play my game. And Chase, Chase, my partner, like, let's go do this together, and we bounce ideas back with each other. And it's just that kind of uplifts you as well.
Yeah, no, that's really well said. You had mentioned mindfulness training, or mindfulness, right? You're working with the sports psychologist. Can you like talk more about that? Like, what does that look like in terms of like breath work, yoga, visualization, anything on that realm?
I would say it's more or less understanding how the game can flow. One thing that's guaranteed is adversity. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be obstacles. It's never going to be perfect. So once you accept the first one, you're in good shape to start with. And then trying to be proactive versus reactive as much as possible. Trying to have a clear idea in each moment of how you're going to play. So me being proactive is me thinking about how I'm going to angle the next pass and how I'm going to make my footwork to that ball. And then being so proactive that maybe I'm thinking about which play that I'm going to run ahead of time. And being more proactive versus reactive has definitely helped me be a step ahead at the end of the day, and not just all of a sudden feel like someone's coming at me. Now I'm kind of attacking them in a way. So those helped me so much.
Thank you to new sponsor of the show, Stretchlyfe, located in Manhattan Beach, California. Stretchlyfe offers assisted stretching for anyone who wants to enhance their flexibility practice. And if you're like me, muscle tightness is something I deal with on a daily basis, whether I'm in the gym training or out on the beach playing beach volleyball, or even sitting here doing this podcast. It's a challenge to make time for the daily stretch routine. And so I've been working with Amir over the last couple months over at Stretchlyfe, and I can tell a big difference in the way I feel. I have more range of motion, I have more energy, more muscle control, and just overall less pain. Stretchlyfe is offering Within the Game listeners 50% off your first session. Just mention Within the Game when you book online or when you call in for the discount. And also, if you do not have access to the Stretchlyfe studio, but you still want to learn more about how to enhance your flexibility practice, Amir is offering a free 20-minute phone call where he can share specific stretches and other specific tools that can help you. So visit stretchlyfe.com, that's Stretchlyfe spelled with a Y, to book your first session, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
That's huge. I feel like most of us are stuck in reactiveness, and like the champions or the high performers stay in proactiveness. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you know, like you lose that moment a couple times of being proactive, but the faster you can get yourself back to being proactive, kind of like, oh, the other team just served an ace. Like, good job. I got the next one. I'm gonna move my feet. I'm gonna make sure they're not gonna get that next one. And you're proactive in this moment, you know, and it's just kind of re-tapping into getting yourself to have that at the front of your mind at least.
Yeah.
You're ready, you know?
Yeah. I'm a spiritual person. There's a spiritual concept called get out ahead of it. And that's kind of what that reminds me of, like get out ahead of it, you know, think about it ahead of time. So you're always in that prep mindset as opposed to always reacting, you know?
Right.
No, I really love that.
You know, and you know, what I'm trying to get at is you're going to lose focus for a moment. You know, you're not always going to be proactive the entire match. But if you can get yourself back to that state of mind and try to have that be more in the front of your mind more often, you're going to be able to be more proactive. And that's the way to kind of like attack playing, you know, at the end of the day and trying to play your best.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I want to acknowledge you too, because let's go back to the most recent Olympic journey, right? The qualification process and, you know, like grinding, traveling the world, you know, going to all these tournaments and going for it, right? Absolutely going for it. I want to acknowledge you because you guys were in like third place for a big chunk of that journey, right? Or fourth, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Annie and Miles, Trevor and Theo, Cam, Shock, and Triborn. And then we were the fourth team for a solid amount of time. Then we broke that one down, got to the third spot. And then at the very end, we snuck into that second spot.
Okay. So that's awesome, dude. And let's just take this moment to talk about the moment where I know you said it on a couple other podcasts, but I just would love for you to share here of that moment of realizing that you guys are now Olympians. There's a clip that went on Instagram and stuff of you guys finding out in your phones, but if you could just share what that was like for you.
Totally, you know, like because that journey was so stressful, ended up being like a little bit of a sigh of relief, you know, at the end of the day. And it was just so rewarding because we put so much effort. We played 25 events, you know, we put so much time and effort into this, and we've lost sleep. We've lost a lot of money, whatever it is. And it was just so rewarding at the end of the day to be able to have that title so that like something can come with all of that hard work, you know? And it was really difficult because we had to play like a match, like right after we just found out. And that was the hardest thing ever, you know, like we won, but like we have to play right now. So it was just a really difficult situation, but it was really nice to be able to call my mom and dad, you know, and just be like, look, we made it. Like, no way. I can officially call myself an Olympian, you know?
Yeah. And forever too. And also like, you know, for any youth athlete that might be listening to this or watching this, you know, that's the dream for any athlete in any sport is to become an Olympian, you know? And so when you did it, I actually remember calling you. I called you and you picked up, which I was stoked. And I got emotional for you. I was just like, cause I could feel your hard work. And also for the audience too, I remember like you like grinding coaching, right? Like driving up from the South Bay up to Santa Monica and coaching and like, you know, being on the skateboard with your equipment and like doing practices to private trainings, grinding for your own dream. And I was like watching you do that. Of course, we were so stoked to have you, but I was just like, man, look at this guy. Like he's absolutely going for it. You know, just talk about that. Talk about going for it. Like what does that mean? And how do you attack that? Whatever the dream is, you know, it doesn't have to be Olympics, but going for it.
I would say going for something for me, like going for the Olympics has been like the coolest thing for me in my life because forever I'll be able to say like I gave my all towards something. And like you have so much respect for yourself at the end of the day, even if you don't achieve it, you know, that you really gave your all and you can let go of like all of those regrets and everything. It's just such a beautiful feeling of integrity, you know? And so I recommend that for anyone, whatever dream you have, whatever it is, like go for it, because it's so rewarding if you give everything you possibly have. And, win or lose, you can really just be happy with the whole process, because you're going to grow as a person no matter what. And it's such a beautiful thing to do.
So well said, bro. Talk about any fears. Were there any fears that came up during this journey?
For sure. I visualized shaking Trevor's hand and saying, congratulations, congrats on qualifying to the Olympics over and over in my head, and I didn't want that, obviously, but, I had all these fears that they were going to be the team that's going to make it. He put on social media that he's going to guarantee go to the Olympics. And I'm like, oh, wow, like this guy's that confident, so there was a lot of fear and doubt at the end of the day. And, it's awesome to be able to be on the other side of that, not having shake his hand and be like, I'm on that side. But, I had a lot of fear going into that for sure.
Okay. So I appreciate that vulnerability. Talk a little bit about how you get over that, how you got over that. And if you do currently have any fears going into the Olympics, how are you going to transcend those fears? I think this is super relatable.
For sure. Like we have, a track record against some of these teams we're about to play where we haven't beat them. They beat us more than we've beaten them. So there is a little bit of doubt. There is a little bit of fear. We're about to play in in front of 12,000 people on their front home stage against France, so for me, I'm trying to turn that fear into excitement, and try to get that ego of like, what, like, let's go. Like, why not? Why not us? We put all the work in. We've gotten here. We deserve to be here. Now just go enjoy it and let's go stick it to them. So I'm trying to turn that mindset and shift that mindset a little bit of kind of embracing that fear, embracing that nervousness, and being ready to go. Let's
go. I got to share with you something that Laird Hamilton shared with me on this podcast about fear, right? Big wave surfer, legendary big wave surfer. But I asked him about fear, right? Because going on those big waves, and I'm like, how do you deal with that fear? You could potentially die on this wave, right? And what he said, and use this, bro, if you want. I was like, how do you deal with that fear? He's like, I go right through it. I face it and go right through it, And I was like, dang. I feel like so many people avoid things when we're afraid, or like we divert, or we go around it, or you know what I mean? And when he said that, I go right through it. I was like, yo, that's knowledge, man. That's great. Like, just face it and like almost embrace it. Yeah, I'm afraid of you, crowd. Yeah, I'm afraid maybe a little bit, but guess what? I'm going to go right through that.
Right. And then you're proactive, and then you go do what you're intending to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and almost like embracing being the villain too, right? You see that a lot in sports, right? Where like, you kind of embrace that. Yeah, Novak Djokovic was just talking about that. He was like, oh yeah, I hear the boos, let's go. I don't care. Bring it, Talk a little bit about the excitement for representing the United States. I mean, like I said, I can only imagine what that would feel like. I did represent the U.S. when I played in the Maccabi games in Israel a long time ago. But this is the Olympics, and I can only imagine what that would feel like just to wear those colors, wear that flag. What does that mean to you, man?
Man, it means the world to me. It was really cool. I watched I Am Bolt, the documentary on Usain Bolt, and seeing the crowds get together in the middle of the circle of their cities, all chanting together, man, like I'm so hoping that we're going to be playing so well that we have that similar experience, and being able to have people back us and support us. And we're representing our home country, man. It's just like so incredibly rewarding beyond belief. There's nothing compares to that. So I'm just so blessed and so thankful at the end of the day that I get to do this, and I'm hoping that we represent our country well, and that we have, everyone supporting us in a beautiful way.
Yeah, man. Regardless of what happens on the court, obviously, hopefully we're hoping for success, but regardless of what happens on the court, you're going to have this title forever. With that title comes, do you feel like there's a little responsibility with that title?
Yeah. For me, it's like let's keep pushing the boundaries of what that even means. Like why up here, even if we don't get a gold medal here, dude, let's go for the next Olympics, like let's, this is the beginning of my journey. So for me, it's like, there's like almost like a responsibility of like, all right, like I got to keep getting better. Like, I got to just keep improving so that like this title means more, it's only the beginning for me. And that's how I see it.
It's a cool mindset, man. That's a cool mindset. I got to ask you about insights you've gathered from past Olympians. I know you sat with Carrie Walsh Jennings, 3-time Olympic champion. Any insights you could share from her?
For sure. There was one that was that stuck out for me. She said, there's a lion and a gazelle. One chooses to be there, and that one kind of hit home. It's like, are you going to both of you going to be on the court, but which one's going to kind of be the one that wants to be there, that's kind of attacking the other, being aggressive, having that ego be a little bit more assertive. And that takeaway is like, all right, like I want to be that tiger, I want to be making that gazelle scared of me, and so that analogy was really cool. And I think I'm going to try to like embrace that as much as possible and see if I can kind of have that tiger mentality, if you will.
And how do you, that's great. Go ahead.
Yeah. So one other thing is like Carrie said, I was already planning to go to the opening ceremony, and she was like, it filled me with so much spirit to like represent our country. Like it gave me so much hope and just so much like, just helped me, like so much motivation at the end of the day. She was like, go do that if you really can. And I'm really excited to go into that opening ceremony and just feel all of the crowd and the energy, just feel my motivation and be that tiger, just get me to be, what state I want to be in when I play. And so I'm really excited to experience the whole culture of being in the Olympic Village and meeting all these other athletes and kind of seeing if I can learn from them to see how they got there, and I would love to leave the village feeling like I've experienced a lot of what all the other athletes have experienced as well.
I love that mindset, Miles. I mean, absorb some of their journeys and their challenges, like that, definitely their successes. But man, you're about to be grouped together with the best of the best in the world for their sport, and all you guys together. I mean, that's a privilege, man. That's so cool. How are you gonna document all this stuff? I know you got to be focused, right? You got to be focused on what you're gonna do. So, are you gonna let other people document or are you gonna do some social media stuff, or?
I would say for myself, like I'm going to film a little bit on my phone for sure. I'm going to ask a ton of questions to all the athletes I respect and even athletes I don't know yet. And I think I see myself writing down notes of like kind of just some of the experiences, and what I end up doing a lot of the time is I create these long notes. And then on the flights on the airplane on the way back, I go through these notes and then I review them, because those are the moments that you have so much time to kind of do nothing. I'm not going to watch videos. We're going to try to absorb all of the information kind of that I've experienced and kind of just keep going through those notes. And maybe, before a match, like go through those notes and be like, oh yeah, I'm like, maybe I gained something from listening to someone's experience in their journey. And then I'll be able to have that mindset going into one of my matches.
That's super cool, man. What I'm noticing more and more with all athletes of all ages is that that's starting to happen. Like people are starting to take more and more notes from a training session or a tournament, a game, whatever it might be. Is that something you do?
100%. Yeah. If each tournament, I try to write some notes of what worked and what didn't work, and then how I'm going to be proactive moving forward and what I'm going to work on in practice. And now I have, lists and lists of notes. And some of them are like really consistent that are like happening frequently. And so it's cool to kind of like have those check boxes, like, all right, kind of got that one, like, oh, another one, and just keep progressing forward,
Yeah, man. No, that's awesome. But what age would you suggest if, like I said, if there's a youth athlete listening from any sport, like when should you start doing that?
I mean, soon as possible, you should be watching all of the top athletes, watching their matches, watching how they do it, and then write notes on how they do it, and then have an idea of what you're trying to do to get to be maybe a little bit better, to be closer to that level, because you want to like narrow that gap as much as possible, as quick as possible. And the best way to do it is watch the best do it. And then you can ask, if you can, coaches and kind of some of the other people along the way that you already are in contact with. And then you already have your notes, you show them your notes, you keep banking off of like what you have and what maybe they have suggested, and you keep adding to it. And then you're mindful in your practices to go try to implement those things. Go try it, go practice. Those are the moments that you can fail and you can be totally fine with it, because you're just trying to get better. So
man, dude. A few more things here for you today, Miles. We talked about this earlier briefly, but relationship with winning and losing. Obviously, we're trying to win. Losing definitely happens. How do you balance that relationship with both of those things?
Great question. I would say in the past, I would be so devastated after I lost that it felt like, it was my entire life that I was like letting people down, and, that I wasn't doing anything in my life. And you kind of have to separate your life and in your sport a little bit, So I had to learn that balance of not taking it so hard. Sure, you want to allow yourself to be upset, but don't be so devastated that it ruins your outside of the volleyball court life as well, but at the end of the day, just try to learn from what happened, and then have an idea of how you're going to tackle that moving forward, and have solutions already kind of in mind. So don't be so devastated, but be proactive and have ideas of how you want to keep moving forward. And then you're going to be on that winning side more frequently. And then at the end of the day, you're going to keep moving forward where you want to move. You're going to have so many ups and downs and wins and losses. You just can't be so devastated that it takes you away from being proactive and moving forward. I had moments where I was so devastated that I just kind of stopped trying to like find the solutions. It's like I just kind of gave up, and then I'd be a little bit more stagnant in trying to get better. And what I realized is, we're all going to have those losses. And I think Chase kind of taught me that, more and more as I with him, is like, you know what, like we're playing against the best of the world. It's fine. We're going to lose, but he already comes up with solutions so quickly of like how we're going to try to get better, And so I learned from him to try to at least have an idea of what we need to do the next week, next day moving forward.
Yeah, man. No, I love that. But I got to ask you about that stagnancy, because that's relatable. That happened to me big time. Happens to so many athletes who just, we get, how can I best articulate this? Whether it's, sometimes it even could be winning, but it's mostly losing, right? We get so frustrated. We get so down on ourselves, and we become stagnant. It definitely happened to me. It was one of the reasons why I decided to create this book, The Inspired Athlete, because I wasn't that person for so many years. I was like, wow, how do I just tap into that more? What can you say to the person that's listening right now who's like, yeah, okay, I hear all that, guys, but like I'm just kind of over it.
Believe in yourself, have people around you that are going to bring you back up, get you motivated.
Yeah.
And if you really want it, then don't give up on yourself. Yeah. To me, it's like almost giving up, you're just accepting your fate. You're like, this is really difficult. I'm not very good. And whatever those thoughts are, like that's how it keeps you in that stagnant moment. So I'd say the more that you can truly believe that you can achieve those things, and that you're not sulking and you're not like kind of crying about how hard it is, and having an idea of what you need to do to move forward. You need to have at least an idea of a solution, and those are the reason why I got out of those stagnant moments faster, is just being a little bit more proactive, just trying to come up with ideas to see if I can overcome those stagnant moments.
It's so cool, Miles. It's so cool that you're here in this mindset because, man, I just want to just quickly go back to this journey, this Olympic journey, right? Like, you went through a lot of losing. You went through a lot of low points, and you just continued to fight. I opened up, I asked for questions on social media, and of all people, Travis asked a really good question here. It's a two-part question, but I think it relates and it fits right here in this moment. So this is from Travis Schoonover, co-founder of WestCoast BEACH. How did you constantly climb the AVP and FIVB ladder to make the Olympics? What team did you surround yourself with? And how did you go from 3 years ago, not on the radar, to making the Olympics?
Yeah, having the little successes of beating certain teams that I kind of put on a pedestal has definitely uplifted my confidence and the motivation at the end of the day. And just going for it, just go for it. Just try, if you lose, you lose, but if you don't try, you're never going to win. So that's, been the most awesome thing. And the hardest part, I think, in our sport is finding a partner that you trust, that works extremely hard, that's working towards the same goal as you. And the more that you show other people that you're working towards something great, the more that the people want to be your teammate or latch on or be a part of what your journey is. So, even if you're not where you want to be, but you're showing consistently that your efforts there and you're getting better slowly, 1% every day, that you're going to get that teammate that you're really hoping for. And that might be the breakthrough that you need to kind of break through these tiers of the better and better players.
Yeah, bro. I mean, that's honestly a big reason why I wanted to have you on the show, because of that tenacity that you showed, man. You've been able to create a little bit of from an outside point of view, it looks like it's a healthy detachment from losing, but it seems like it's the right kind of healthy fuel for winning for you. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. I would say one really cool example for me was Chase and his partner the year before had a lull where they were losing consistently a couple tournaments in a row. And we had our lowest point, last year in Edmonton. We lost both of our matches. We were out of the tournament. It was our worst finish at the time. He was like, look, dude, let's not let this happen to us, what happened to me and my other partner in the past. And I was questioning, why am I here? Why am I going on this journey? Am I even good enough? And then we came up with an idea. We watched film right away. And we were like, nah, dude, this is not happening to us. And then we would go the next tournament and we qualify for an Elite 16. And then we end up doing well in that Elite 16. And we bounce back quick, And it was that not sulking and kind of not letting yourself get to that stagnant moment of being like, nah, dude, that was just one tournament. It's all good, And that was a really big moment for me, because I swear, for me, it was my lowest point, and then it was all of a sudden one of my highest points. So, it can happen from day to day, week to week, to where you're not where you want to be, and then you're where you want to be, and you can keep growing. So don't let one tournament affect the way that you think about yourself. Start working towards the next one for sure. And you never know it can happen.
Yes, bro. Yes, Miles. I know we're getting close to the end here, but I just got to add this quote. I reached out to Ty Trambly about you, and he wrote a little bit of a paragraph here. So I just got to read it. This is from Ty Trambly, AVP champion and friend. What I love about him is that he is able to fight through the low points in his journey, and he never gives up. Continues to believe in himself and has become undeniable. He's so hyper talented when it comes to defense. His fearless and his court coverage is outrageous. When his opportunity came with Chase, he was ready and he never looked back. Very proud of the guy, but I'm not surprised. He's an incredible talent, and I look forward to watching all his future success. Ty Tramley.
Love you, Ty.
Yeah. Yeah, I just had to read that. I thought that was really well written. And then I got to ask you about Ed Keller. For the audience, Ed is just a staple in our sport, lives right there at the beach in Hermosa, but he's been kind of right there with you guys on this Olympic qualification journey. Can you just speak on Ed for a minute?
Yeah, Dan wasn't able to travel the world with us, and Ed took on that role right away. He was with Chase, as a good friend of Chase for a long time. He's been around the sport forever, like you said. So he's very knowledgeable. He's a really smart dude. And we were more than happy to have him come on the international tournaments with us. And it was a blessing because he has a different, unique kind of mind or perspective. And it's so nice to have like a third eye, if you will, to kind of just give us a little bit more insight of what he thought. And he's been a part of the journey since basically day one. And it's just been so helpful to have him travel the world with us and facilitate great communication between us. There's moments that we're kind of sick of kind of hanging out with each other. We've, always around each other. We're on the road 11 tournaments out of 14 weeks, and for him to be there, he's so positive. And I think that positivity has really like instilled with us. And it's so nice to have that third person to kind of hang out with and just enjoy the journey with at the end of the day. And, I'm just super thankful that we've been able to have him. And even today in practice, he helped out a ton. So cool. I'm just really, he's an awesome dude.
Yeah. Shout out Ed Keller. Last thing here, Miles, there's a lot of brands and companies that support your journey. I want you to just take a moment to just give a shout out to your sponsors and anyone else that you want to just give love to.
For sure. Adapt Superwater has been a huge, my buddy Richie owns that company. He's been a huge help. His Adapt Superwater is amazing, really great recovery, always keeping me hydrated, really good flavors. Quest bars and Quest chips, I just signed with. They're awesome. I love their flavors and really good snack for recovery when you're on the road. What else? Blender sunglasses. They're super sick. They're really comfy. Really like the owner myself. Cali Bear, super awesome dude. He's been with me throughout the journey. Who else? And Maui and Sons, super awesome clothing line. We got to create our own jerseys. So in the Olympics, we get to be like stoked on our jerseys and what we're wearing. So now we're going to perform well.
Yeah, man, I ordered mine too. It's in the mail. So I was hoping it was going to be here today, but also please mention your website. You have your own merch and your website as well.
We created a couple designs. My sister is a graphic designer, and we just wanted to create more options for people that kind of want to support us. So we got jerseys on there. We got long sleeves, whatever. We're trying to cater to both genders. We're going to create more colors and whatnot. So, check out my website, and, the more support, the more help that we have along the journey. And, we're just thankful and blessed for any support and everyone that wants to be involved.
Yeah. And I'll link all those here on the podcast when it gets published. And also, everybody, look out for details on a skills and drills clinic featuring Miles in Santa Monica after the Olympics. We'll release some details soon about that. Miles, before we sign off, last final question, fulfillment. What does that mean to you?
Fulfillment is knowing that you did everything you possibly could, at least, deep down, you gave everything you could to try to just try to go for something that's important to you. For me, my passion was volleyball. And I'm super blessed to be able to say that I did go for it. And I hope that I can do that for the next Olympic run. And then hopefully we get a gold here and a gold there.
Let's go, man. Hey, you got the whole country supporting you. You got me supporting you. You got the whole podcast support. I mean, you have so much support behind you. I just wish you the best of luck. And thank you again. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on this show. And for the audience, I hope you guys stayed with us this far. Everybody, peace and blessings. Miles, thank you again. We love you. Let's go get it.
Let's go. Thanks for having me. Hopefully you guys takeaways from today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't go anywhere. For everyone else, stay inspired, y'all. Bye.